In this video, we'll look at the SharePod. The SharePod allows you to share something from your computer or a shared whiteboard. Now I could share my screen to get something off of my computer, but I do want to show you this little pull-down menu. It gives me the same option I would see when I say share my screen. I can do my screen, a document, or a whiteboard. I can also look at things that I've recently shared. So you notice I have 2 PowerPoints loaded. And this is one of the very nice things about Connect. I can come in and load up 3 or 4 PowerPoints and have them all ready to go, or let's say 10 or 15 images. And when I leave the meeting and come back, they're still there, unlike Collaborate. So I'll start by sharing my screen. When I share my screen, I have 3 options: Desktop, Applications, or Windows. Now I would usually stay in the Applications. Also, I would stay away from doing multiple selections, although that may work for you. The other thing I would stay away from is make SharePod's full screen for attendees. The reason is if you select this and go into sharing, your students will lose the chat room in the main way that they can communicate with you. So I'll click on Chrome and click Share. When I do that, I get a little pop-up window. That will close after a few seconds, and I can move it wherever I would like. My students don't see this. Now I can navigate through this website, and as I click, students will follow my click on the screen. The options are to let me see what I'm sharing. So this will let me see what the students are sharing, or look at the attendees list or the chat. Now these are turned off right now because I don't have the chat pod active, but this would allow you to follow the chat if you needed to. When you're done sharing your screen, you'll click on the Hide Mini Control. It will take you back to your meeting, and now you can stop sharing. When I share a document, I have an option of going in and looking at files that I have uploaded. So here are some files that I've uploaded, and I'm going to look at 2. One is a PowerPoint presentation, and one is a PNG or an image file. Now if I haven't preloaded them, I can go in and browse my computer, find a PowerPoint if I hadn't loaded it yet, or if, say, I had an image file that I wanted to bring in, I could do that. But I'm not going to load anything right now. All I have to do is make sure that my image is selected and click OK. And it will add that to my shared space. I can now put a pointer, start to move the pointer around, and I'll also find that there are some options that I can play with here. I can turn on the drawing tools. I can let my participants draw. Once we've drawn on it, I can export it, or I could print it. When I'm done, I click Stop Sharing. Again, there's a full screen mode that I could go into, and I just click those arrows to exit that full screen, and I click Stop Sharing. So now I'll go ahead and share a PowerPoint. I have one already loaded. I'll select it and click OK. Adobe will open something called Adobe Presenter, and there it is. Now this took me about a minute or 2 to load, so this is why you want to preload your slides. You have simple controls. Unfortunately, we still don't have the transitions and everything built into the PowerPoint, but that's not bad. I have the option of turning on the draw tools and to give myself a little pointer. Under the pod options, I have the ability to print this shared screen. Let's say we've done some drawing on it and I want to save it. I could also export it, and I can let participants draw on it as well. Again, I have the option to go to full screen mode, and so I'll go ahead and turn off the draw, turn off my pointer, and I now have my PowerPoint presentation. The last option is I can switch between navigating with just my little arrows or something called the sidebar. This lets me go in and see all of my slides. So if I wanted to quickly change to a slide, I can do that. Also, if I had any notes related to that, I could click on the notes. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing and look at the last option, which is to share a whiteboard. Again, I have options. I can allow the participants to draw. I can export it as a snapshot, or I can print it. Now, one of the very nice features of Connect is you can have multiple shared screen. So in the video on layouts, I'll talk more about how you can add pods, but I'm just going to very quickly move my whiteboard here and then ask for another pod where I could go in and start my PowerPoint again. And now I have the ability to have both my PowerPoint and a whiteboard. Or let's say instead of a whiteboard, I might put up a notes section here. So that's using the Share pod.